Hey, sister, are you ready to overcome anxiety, self-doubt, and just feeling stuck in your relationship with God? My sister, I am so excited to have my Daughter Arise Collective doors open right now. They opened up last Friday and they were supposed to close today, but I am going to extend them for 2 more days till Friday, January 23rd, 2026. If you're listening to this before that date, my sister, what are you waiting for? Sign up. This is your opportunity. This is a launch. You're going to be part of something so special. Plus, you get your first 30 days for free. I do have women signing up right now, and it is going to get full. And I'm going to tell you that I have to close it by Friday because it is supposed to be a kind of small membership. I want it to be an intimate space. So spaces are going to be limited. Please sign up before the spaces run out. Your code will be free30. And all you have to do is go to the link down in the show notes that is tinyurl.com/arise membership. That's tinyurl.com/arise membership. And what are you going to get inside this Daughter Arise Collective? It's all in that link. But just to give you an idea, we're basically going to go through this healing process together through live bi-weekly meetings using an amazing book that helped me to overcome so much of my trust issues. It's still to this day helping me through my anxiety, obviously Holy Spirit led completely, and also just helps me to get past my insecurities, all the things that through my childhood and different experiences in my life has kind of scarred me. And this book, doing it in community, is so helpful. On top of that, we're also going to meet and have what I'm calling silent and present meetings. And these are going to be times of just silence, meditation, prayer requests, biblical meditation, prayer requests, just breathing, just being together for a while. It's going to be amazing. I'm so excited about this. You're going to have a full year access to the private online community off social media. So get this, you're paying for 6 months, and actually you're getting a steal because you're going to see in there it's a steal. But actually, you're going to get a full year into the private online community. Okay. You're also going to get my She's Rooted Bible Study 5-week masterclass, which is a $97 value, absolutely for free. Okay. You're going to get a special gift from me to you, the Love for His Word 30-day Psalm 119 devotional with audio, a $17 value, also for free. Come and be a part of this new launch team. You're going to be a founding member. This price will not last. It will never come back. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm so excited to be able to welcome you. Please, please join us. I welcome you, and I am so excited to be able to see you in there. Once again, that link is tinyurl.com/arise membership. And now, today, we're going to talk about something so important and so powerful, and that is the power of healing our trauma through forgiveness. Forgiveness is so key, even through the healing process that we go through in our membership as well. Now, forgiveness is a process itself, and I have a very special guest that helps you with that today. Okay, you're going to absolutely love her. So enjoy this interview, and I hope to see you inside my membership on Friday or by Friday. I'll see you, sister. Enjoy. Hello, my wonderful sisters. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm so happy that you're here with me today. Today, I have a special guest, Dr. Carron. She is the host of the Forgiveness is for You podcast, where she helps people overcome trauma through forgiveness. This is going to be a special treat. So without further ado, I will introduce Dr. Carron. Dr. Carron, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so happy you're here. So why don't we start by telling us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
I am a Catholic certified mindset coach, and I coach individuals who actually about 95% of my clients are either immigrants or children of immigrants. And a lot of them come in thinking they need to forgive. And as we coach and as we develop our relationship, a lot of times I discover that there's a lot of trauma in their backgrounds. And so I don't do clinical work, but we talk about how the trauma from the past is impacting their current relationships. And then we look at what skills they are missing that they need to learn in order to improve their relationships. And also, I work a lot with emotional healing. So we do emotional processing. I also do teach people somatic exercises. I was telling a client this morning that in this country, I would say the majority of people live from their neck up.
Wow.
They're
Yes,
not present
brain.
in their bodies. And we just go, 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 go. And we force our bodies to do things that we really shouldn't be doing. And the levels of stress and this, and so you see this epidemic of disease. So I work with people to identify where in their lives they're getting stuck. What is it that's causing the stuckness? And then we identify what is it that they're holding on to that they need to let go of. And that's where the forgiveness comes in. We identify what's theirs and what's not theirs.
Wow, that's amazing. That is awesome. I so hear you with that because that's one of the things I had to actually learn how to do with my own healing through different things and I talk about that sometimes on the podcast. So thank you for sharing that. So I really love that your podcast is all about forgiveness. And I want to know, and I'm sure all the women here want to know, can you tell us about what motivated you to start this podcast and what motivated you to help women heal through forgiveness?
Yeah, so when I was a little girl, I was sexually abused by a relative. And I lived in a home that was just rife with domestic violence for the first 7 years of my life. And you can imagine in a country that was in political turmoil, I'm from South Africa, so I grew up under the apartheid system as a person of color. And it took me years to work through the trauma from not only domestic violence, sexual abuse, not by just one person, but multiple people, um, being belittled, being criticized for my looks growing up, just multiple layers of trauma that I experienced. And so I was fortunate that I could immigrate to the United States. And I was 23 when I came here and finally found the safety to be able to walk down that path of recovery. And it was a lot of work. I always laugh when I say I could write the book on all the modalities from 1990 all the way up to now because I've tried so many. And I could write the book on, all the different, kind of medications you could take for trauma, right? And so I had to go through this many, many years of recovery, different types of therapy, different types of modalities that helped my body because I developed a pain condition. And so diets, you name it, I've done it. And I got better with each one. Some not so good, some better than others. And I got better and my life is good. I was a teacher back home for 1 year, came to the United States, met my husband, decided I'm not going to let someone else raise my kids. And so I stayed home with my kids. And during that time, it was all recovery. It was really very, very hard, deep work of recovery. And you know, got back into teaching here in the States and got my master's in education. Later on, became an instructional coach. So on the surface, my life looked really good, right? We do
Hmm.
this, right? We
Yeah.
recover, but what recovery in psychotherapy is meant to do is to bring you back to baseline,
Hmm.
right? If you're in that pathological state, if you're in that clinical state, it's to bring you out of the hole, fill up the hole, and put you on the surface so you can walk
Hmm.
again. And it
Yeah.
did that for me. It was great. I can't thank my therapists enough for the work that they've done with me. But there
Hmm.
was always something missing.
Hmm.
And that was the element of faith. Number one, I've always been a faithful woman. I've always walked with the Lord. for the most part, except for, when you get to college and you kind of have to take a detour and then you come back. So
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
did that. But the more I spent time with Jesus, the more I got convicted that there was still one more thing, and that's forgiveness. And as I started just trusting Him with my journey and leaning into what does that look like? I don't want to, I don't want to, I don't want to. If I do it, they're going to get away with what they're doing or what they've done to me. Those are all false beliefs that I had about forgiveness. So, for
Mm.
about 2 decades, I was living in this really angry, resentful place, and I called my perpetrator a monster. And that's all I could talk about. And the day that he died, I danced a jig.
Wow.
I'm so happy that he had
Mm.
died because I was like, he can't hurt anybody else.
Mm.
And then the Lord showed me my sin in that.
Mm.
And I realized those things might have happened to me, but I'm also sinning because I'm not seeing that they also are creations of God
Mm.
and that something had happened to them and they didn't know what to do with it, that no healthy way, and so they passed it on. So we always have a choice. And I always said, I will never let my children experience what I experienced. But over time, I knew that if I didn't allow myself to see the full picture and to forgive, I would just be living in that angry place. So I
Wow.
was holding myself prisoner.
Mm.
So as soon as I could figure that out, now it took 20 years to get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And still, right, the work isn't done until we die. So that was the work that I did. And so in 2021, I wrote a book and it's an autobiographical devotional and it's called With You Always, A Journey with Jesus. And what it was all my recovery journals I had kept in a box. And so I just took some of those journals and they were always letters to God, letters to Jesus.
Wow.
So I took those letters to Jesus and reflections and I kind of compiled them into my life story, but then included poetry that I had written and images that photographs that I had taken and scripture passages and reflection questions. And I put it all together in a book. And we moved to Texas in 2021 from Colorado, where we had lived for the majority of my kids' life. And we went to a new church, and my pastor was like, I gave him a free copy of my book. I said, here's your Christmas present. And the next week he came back and he said, you're going to do a retreat for Lent.
Wow.
And I was like, I am? And he said, yes. And I'm like, about what? And he said, I don't know, just whatever. And so I was like, I gave my yes. I said, okay, I've got January and February, and then in March, the retreat starts the first week of March. So I've got a little bit of time to plan this. And I went to Jesus with it. I said, Lord, what do you want me to do here? And he said, use your book. Just use the readings from your book. And I sat with him and he gave me the entire outline for a forgiveness retreat.
Wow.
And that's how it all started.
Wow. And it's so needed. Oh my goodness. It
Yes.
is the hardest thing, especially the older we are, the hardest thing to let go is like a grudge or something. Yeah, forgive to be able to forgive. I heard an
Yeah.
episode not too long ago you did with your husband about grudges. I was like, whoa.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, oh my goodness, it is the hardest thing to repent of. It is so hard because you can justify yourself and and in your mind, and you're right, kind of right. Like if you've been hurt, you've been hurt. That's injustice. But
Yes.
it's like then Jesus comes with this teaching that you got to forgive time and time and time again and again and again. And it's just it doesn't make sense. But we trust Jesus and we're like, all right, well, we need to be obedient, but it's hard, you know?
Yes. Yes. And I talk about how Christianity is a conditional religion. Even today in our readings, who do we love first? We love God first. That's a requirement. That's a condition for us getting to heaven,
Yeah,
is we love
100%.
God first, and then
Hmm.
we love ourselves, and then we love our neighbor as ourselves,
Yeah,
and everything else follows. That's
yeah,
one condition.
yeah.
There, the condition in the Our Father prayer, which Jesus gave to us himself, he
Hmm.
says, we have to forgive or we will not be forgiven. And so I
Right.
like to say that where we end up in heaven is dependent upon how much we forgive.
Wow, something to think about. Whew. Yeah. And Jesus himself said it, he affirmed it, like, in the Lord's Prayer, forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. It's not
Yes,
just forgive us our debt, period. It's as we forgive our debtors.
yes,
And it's so important. I think so many times we miss that. And you're right in saying that we have to love God first. And I love that you said we have to love ourselves before we love our neighbors, because a lot of people miss that. You
yes,
might initially think, well, what do you mean? It says our neighbors. But if you don't love yourself, how can you love your neighbor as yourself? How can you really love? You're not going to be able to love them if you don't love yourself, not the way that God expects you to love them. So that probably means you have to heal if you don't love yourself. If there's something about yourself that you're not healed from, you're not going to like yourself very much. And there's so much complexities to that. We can spend an hour talking about those things, but I like that you said that. I'm glad you pointed that out, especially for my listeners, as we hear about forgiveness, and we got to forgive ourselves as well. Sometimes, we mess up. Well, God has grace on us. Know that He loves us. He has grace on us. Who are we not to have grace on others if He's forgiven everything?
yes.
So,
And Jesus models that from the cross, right? He says,
absolutely.
Father, forgive them. And so that's not easy to do.
It isn't.
We
No,
cannot do it without him. There's just no, I don't believe that we can do it without him.
no, no, not really. No, absolutely not. So, coming into the next question, what are a few words of encouragement that you can give the woman here listening to this podcast, or man, because we have male listeners as well now, who is having a hard time forgiving right now in their life, and maybe talk about the first step she or he can take towards the path to forgiveness?
Yes. What I say is first, be so compassionate with yourself. Whatever happened is a circumstance, and you can have compassion for yourself because you cannot change the circumstance. You can't go back and do things over, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can examine your thoughts about the circumstance. What are you thinking about that circumstance? And then you can challenge those thoughts. Are they 100% true? Am I creating a reality that doesn't exist anymore? I'll give you an example, right? So I called, I was abused. I called that person a monster. I spun all kinds of stories around that monster. I didn't know squat about who that person was. And then I started learning more about that person's background and what had happened. And then I started to have more understanding. And then once I started having more understanding, then they became more human because I was dehumanizing that person. And then once they became more human, then the Lord started giving me the grace to start having compassion. And once I started having compassion for that situation, I could also have compassion for myself.
Mm,
And I could also say, it wasn't my fault. All the beliefs that I internalized around, I must have been bad. Why was I the one? Why wasn't it somebody else? Can you see how horrible that thought is? Why couldn't it have happened to someone else?
yeah,
Horrible thought, right? To have.
yeah.
Um, the why me thought. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so then I started asking, but why not me?
Hmm.
What does God want through this whole experience for me to do with it, right? What is He going to do with it?
Yeah.
Well, he's doing great things with it.
Amen.
So it was painful, but pain has meaning. Pain, we can assign meaning to our pain. We can ask the Lord, what do you want to do with this pain?
Mm,
As he transforms that pain into something good.
wow.
What did he do with Jesus, right? What kind of pain did Jesus suffer, and what was the transformation that he experienced? Well, the transfiguration, we see him,
Mm,
he becomes
hmm
glorified, just like we will someday be glorified. And so be very compassionate with yourself. Give yourself time. Don't rush into it. I help people figure out what they actually have to forgive other people for. Because a
Mm,
lot of time, what we think we have to forgive has nothing, it is not at all what we think that we're guilty of.
wow.
Especially if there's been abuse, children tend to internalize abuse. They tend to tell themselves all kinds of identity lies about who they are and what they've done. And they make
Mm,
a lot of assumptions because they're not mature enough to understand the full context. So give yourself time, be gentle.
mm,
When you start hearing yourself and seeing yourself passing judgment upon your own behaviors and upon the other person's behaviors, get curious about those judgments. Where are they coming from? Whose voice is that? Is it your
mm,
voice? Is it the other person's voice? Or is it
mm.
the voice of the enemy who wants to keep you trapped?
Yeah, yeah. 100%. That enemy's voice is so real. Thank you. Those are some great tips to get us started in our forgiveness journey. And I know that there are people, women in here and people in general who want to know, who want to connect with you and who would love to just kind of hear more, maybe listen to your podcast, maybe get help from you directly. Could you tell them how they can connect with you and what you have to offer them?
Yes, I have a website, www.drcarron, that's drcarron.com. And my podcast is Forgiveness is for You. And it's available on pretty much all the platforms, except for YouTube. I'm not on YouTube yet. And right now, if they go to my website, two things. They can sign up for my weekly newsletter where I share tips on, mindset work, boundaries, daily living. And there's a tab on my website, a newsletter tab. And if they click on that, they will get a PDF, 5 forgiveness myths busted. And I also have a mini retreat, a 5 days to forgiveness mini retreat that's available on there.
Wonderful. Wow. All right, ladies, you heard that. So definitely make sure you get a copy of that and check out her website. Thank you so much, Dr. Karen, for being on the show. You have been such a blessing, and I am so honored that you were here. Thank you so much. I appreciate you a ton.
Thank you for having me.
Sister, I truly pray that this episode has blessed you and has encouraged your heart today. If it did, would you share it with a friend? Also, would you leave me a review? Not only do I love reading my reviews, the reviews actually help the show be found by others who could use the encouragement. And if you want more resources that could help your walk with God, simply visit theintentionalchristianwoman.com. You'll find all kinds of goodness in there. Sister, know that I love you and I am praying for you, and I will see you in the next episode.